Yo, 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 this is Damage Per Second Podcast. That's the DPS Podcast, episode 258. We are back on a fine Thursday night, feeling extra all right. I had to do an extra in there. I know you guys are just going to say, he's just going to say they feeling all right like usual. No, I had extra. We're extra all right tonight. I am one of your hosts, SloMoBackSlap, with the other host, Gaming Forte. Say what's up, Forte. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, you know what, Slomo? It's a great day. It's a different day. I feel like
it's a beautiful day.
Well, it definitely is a beautiful day, but it feels like
are we a European rock band?
Listen, something feels off already about this year. The fact, like,
have you already put your finger on it?
Kind of, but it's just I still am kind of in disbelief that we live in a world in 2026 where a state called Indiana can have the national championship be hosting football, bro. We are
that's definitely a Twilight Zone.
We in the Twilight Zone, bro.
Like when I was coming up, I don't even remember anyone mentioning that Indiana had a football team. Like that wasn't like you knew the Hoosiers for basketball. That's it. You know, I think I might know them more for like women's volleyball than football before this year. So it's just kind of like out of nowhere you got this real solid group of players that really, you know, took the whole country by storm, which is like, look, when it comes to sports, you want that parity.
You want parity.
It keeps things exciting. It gets tiring seeing the same old teams, you know, in the playoff every year, and it makes you kind of feel like, you know, your alma mater, if it's not one of these big teams, you got no shot. You got no chance.
Bro, we're not gonna turn this into a what's the name, but it is. I called myself pulling. I called myself pulling for him because, you know, I was like, you know, rooting for the Big Ten, but when it was over, when the game was over, bro, all the next day I was just like, wow, this is the world we live in now, and it started, and it kind of makes you think about sports teams like NFL. I mean, pretty much any franchise. It's like, bro,
okay, we have been told to move on.
Indiana literally won a natty
from the sports topic.
Dude, if Indiana can win a natty, then Microsoft could give us a game that actually is really good.
You know, that's a good segue. But hey, maybe they have. They did show some things today. You know, that will you know, we will discuss. I think you might be. I think the audience might be surprised by the one who has a bit of a negativity about that, because they're pretty sure they were expected always to be me. But we will get to that.
It might be you. They don't know.
We'll see. Forte, what have you been playing, man? What you been doing over the past week?
I'm almost done with Hollow Knight with Silksong.
Okay.
Went back and finished playing that a little bit more. I picked up I did what I said I wasn't going to do. I ended up picking up Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Let's go. What you get on?
Switch, because Switch 2.
Oh, okay. Did you see the Digital Foundry video on it?
No,
it's
I
pretty
didn't.
impressive.
I didn't.
It's essentially, it is in between as far as its performance and visuals. It's better than the PS4, but worse than the PS5, obviously. But that's pretty good. You know, unfortunately, it's just 30 frames per second. So,
it's just 30. I mean, but you know, that's kind of the one thing that, you know, I am willing to compromise when we're talking about a $500 handheld that, you know, can play it. So that's the only thing that doesn't feel good about it. And, you know, the funny thing is, what maybe, because it's only $40, and because it comes with Integrate, so it comes with the DLC, and I was sitting there like, dang. A customer walked in and he was buying, and I said, man, this is only $40. And then when he opened it in the store, he said, yeah, I want to open this in the store and see what I get. I said, what are you talking about? And I didn't know that they give you a Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy booster pack inside the game with it. And I was like, oh, shoot. And, I'm super into cards. So I was like, yep, I got to buy this because technically those booster packs cost $7 each. So that really means that game's only like $32. And then I had some trade-ins that made it a little bit cheaper too with a discount. So, yeah. So I definitely picked that up. I bought something
on the Switch, but it wasn't. I bought Dispatch on the Switch.
You did? Have you played it yet?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't come out yet. I think it comes out tomorrow.
Oh, it's not out yet. Okay, got you.
Oh, yeah, it's probably tomorrow. Or maybe next week. I have to double check. It did preload already, and that's why it was in my mind because I was like I went on the Switch to play a little Cyberpunk when I had a break, and I was like, oh, there's the Dispatch game there, and I tried to play it, and it was like, hold on. Sex was so weird. Like, hold on a moment to see if you can play this yet. No, you can't. I'm like, why are you even thinking about this? Can I play it or not? It was just kind of weird. But anything else you've been playing?
No, that's really it. I mean, this last week I've been really spending like my extra time getting the old store cleaned up for the walkthrough, which happened yesterday with the landlord. So I'm officially a single store manager again now, which feels good. And but I spent a lot of time just cleaning, and like both my off days were kind of doing that for like 6-7 hours a day, just so everything was up to snuff. And plus I wanted to use that extra to get that overtime. So I was sitting there like, yeah, I'm just I ain't doing nothing but cleaning. I ain't got to talk to no customers. I could just sit here and listen to podcasts. Just like listening to like music and stuff, and that was cool. So outside of that, like I said, I picked that up and then almost done with Silk Song, played a little bit of BF6, and I did do this. I did for the first time in like 7 months turn on my PS5, I mean. And proceeded to play Callisto Protocol because I got about 40% through it and was like, I don't even remember how this game plays. So I started over and I played like 2 hours of it yesterday. So I did do that. So I did jump back into Callisto because I put my hard drive back in. Cause anybody know, I had a friend that wanted to borrow it because I wasn't playing it. He wanted to play, what did he want to play? Forget what game it was he wanted to play. But I said, yeah, don't go out and buy one, bro. Just all you want to play is that. Just borrow mine. And I wasn't using it. So I finally got it back from him. And went to go look at my drive to see all the games I had on there. I was like, oh, I forgot I started this, and booted it up and was like, yeah, I don't remember none of this. So I just started over. So that game's actually really cool. It looks really good. Like sometimes you get kind of,
you're getting the best version of that game now because when it didn't launch like.
Oh, it was not good when it launched.
Yeah. It's one of the worst optimized Unreal Engine 5 games.
Yeah. So it's a good looker.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good looker. But with that, what about you, SloMo? What have you been playing or looking at, or what's been looking at you, I should say?
Well, in Jumbotron, this is a little bit slightly older gameplay, but been playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I'm one of the few apparently because Black Ops 7 has we are seeing something kind of unprecedented. It is the worst selling. According to Circana, so it's not complete data. So, before someone starts going, well, actually, like I know it's not complete data, but according to Circana's data, this is the worst performance in the United States or in the North American territory for Call of Duty since like 2008. It's in the year to date, it's like number 5. Which is, one is amazing that's the worst that you've gotten in 18. What is that? That's 18 years 18 years, the worst that you've finished annually is number 5. That's pretty crazy, but it also kind of goes to show where they need to make some changes in how they deliver content for the general Call of Duty audience at this point, and where the trends are going with the younger generations on what they are interested in, because it may not be COD no more. So, but other than that, I've been enjoying playing the game. I am I'm inching my way towards a 2.0 KD. I'm not close. I'm still like 1.6.
You can do it. You can do it, man. You can do it. Put your mind to it. You can do it.
What else here? This will shock you. I actually reinstalled the finals.
Oh Lord.
Hey, wait, hold up. Don't do that.
Oh,
okay.
Lord.
So, see, I say don't do that, and you repeat it anyway. So look, I was playing Arc Raiders with a couple friends, and
how'd that go, by the way?
It was all right. I mean, it's just I'm not quite into it, because I feel like with it being an extraction shooter, like it takes a while to get like leveled up, get your skills unlocked, get the blueprints for like the actual good guns, which is only like a handful in the game. All that stuff, and it takes a while to do that. Like it's fun with friends, but as you're getting there. But like playing with my friends, they're farmers, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're sharecroppers. They like to ride the tractor. They want to go into the world, do PvE. They want to farm the materials they need, go ahead and extract and get out. And that's because of the way they got like this aggression-based matchmaking. If you're in a party where the majority of the time that's kind of like their vibe, then they're going to put you in more lobbies where that's the vibe. We did get attacked a few times, but it's just like it's not what I've seen the majority of, which is fine really until I get like leveled up to the point where I can start like respecing my skill tree and testing some things out, and getting the best weapons is fine. But the reason why I started playing the finals is because one of my friends was like, Embark sounds familiar. What else have they made? And I said, they're former Battlefield devs, but they the first game they made was the finals. And he was like, oh yeah. And then we started talking about all the good times we had with the finals. And I was like, little nostalgia hit me, that song I Remember You started playing in my head, and I was just like, maybe I should go ahead and reinstall this thing. Cause it's like, it's still being supported by Embark. It's still, out. It still is getting content, new seasons and stuff. Just not as in the zeitgeist like it used to be. And I reinstalled it, and man, I had a ball, yo. Like I lost track of time. I was playing it, and then next thing I knew, I was like, oh man, I need to finish up stuff with work before eating dinner and hanging out with the kids and stuff. I was like, I lost like about a good 4 hours just playing the game. And now they got like they've really kind of fixed a lot of the issues that I had with it prior to stopping playing the game. Like they really fixed issues with the different modes they had, and they were kind of going through the same issues that we've seen people have, where they're essentially doing balancing in the beginning of a game's like life, and then it's like the balancing is too broad, and they're like mega nerfing things when they shouldn't, stuff like that, and it's a little annoying. But like light build is like they got the light build, medium build, heavy build, and light build is back, and it's like it's literally they're on their 9th battle pass, their 9th season, and I'm like technically still on the first season, the first battle pass. But it's kind of, remember how Halo Infinite will allow you to go back to old battle passes? You could buy old battle passes, and they got this system where like you just basically and very easily can earn like these credits that you can just apply to the old battle passes while you're still working on the current one. So I thought that was pretty dope. I've been unlocking some stuff. Like I got my little Asian firecracker light build girl, like looking pretty cool. Yeah, man, it's a good time. I wish I had some people to play it with, but it is what it is. I'll play it solo because it's that much fun.
What you trying to say?
Even now, no, I'm not saying nothing about you. I'm just talking in general, okay? In general.
You just made a statement, though. That was a statement.
That was a statement, but it wasn't like Forte needs to play this with me because you ain't even big in this game anyway. But maybe like if someone wants to play the finals, come hit me up. I'm with it. I'm with it. But yeah, it's a dope game. They now have broken out like something that was like highly requested when I was playing it before. Certain modes having just like, look, you just want to just not think about the objectives and just play some TDM. You can just do that, man. And that's like when I saw that, I was like, let's go, because I did quick. I think it's called quick cash. It's quick play, but it's about cash. It's like they don't little spin on it, and there's all the different modes that comes in that. And I was doing that for a bit. Then I saw TDM, and I was like, oh, you speaking my language now. So having a good time with it. It's still a fun game to play if anyone wants to play it. And what else here? Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. So you've been playing it on the Switch. Or wait, you got it? Did you play it on the Switch, or you just got it?
I just picked it up. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually played the Xbox version that I bought just to troll people. And they allow you to continue on from where your progress was with the demo, and I completed the demo. So I haven't, I only played it maybe for like 30 minutes, and I'm basically just getting through. I forgot which area there is in Midgard, but I got to the point where you just got off the train when you're with the Avalanche group, and you're back into their home sector. So I pretty much stopped it there because work was calling me. But so far, I can say this about it: visually, it don't really compare to PC. Like, I feel like there's a lack of textures, but it's the console version. I don't expect it to be as good as the PC version anyway. That is the definitive version. So, but no, performance wise, I mean, it's like a rock solid 60 FPS that I've seen so far, with the demo as well as the main game. So performance great, so that's what it is. I'm glad it's finally on Xbox. Hopefully the people who, spoke, so passionately about this game missing their favorite platform will actually pick it up and play it, as they seem to have missed playing it on PC and PlayStation, literally everywhere else that's been. But hopefully people play and enjoy it. It's a really, really good game. But that's it. Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we get into these rapid fire topics?
Nope. Let's do it.
Nope.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Former Elder Scrolls writer Kirk Coleman spoke on why he left Bethesda. Now he says, well, I'm gonna give you a Cliff Notes version. He said a lot of things, but he says that Elder Scrolls 6, which they're currently working on right now, he says that was supposed to come out before Starfield. It was supposed to be the next game after Fallout 4. That didn't happen. After 11 years of waiting, he finally said, "I'm done," and moved on to and I think it says in 2023 he moved on from Bethesda Game Studios, but a lot of the design leads became less hands-on and more bureaucratic as time has gone on, and some of these changes have essentially predated the acquisition by Microsoft. So people can't really say, "Oh, it's because of Xbox that you just ruined Bethesda." No, he's saying these things predate the acquisition, which is not really shocking considering how we saw some of their later games that seem to be less in the lane of the kind of content that they make were coming out. Fallout 76, Redfall, Wolfenstein, Youngblood. It's like not really their cup of tea and not really executing. Although some people say that Fallout 76 has really kind of like picked it up, but not really executing on in the way that people thought like you would expect from their games. But that said, just his thoughts on everything. Forte, what are your opinion about Elder Scrolls 6 and their former lead writers' comments on it?
I mean, at this point, if one was supposed to come out before the other, I don't know. The whole bickering, I mean, I'm not going to say bickering, but the whole conversation around that is kind of irrelevant because one is out, one is released, and this one hasn't seen like the light of day since they gave us that sympathetic trailer just to show off an environment that probably has nothing to do with the game. So
right.
It's like, it's like almost a way. It just feels like to a point where it's like a talking point. Just remember, we are making this game. We are still making this game.
Well, I mean, this guy doesn't work for Bethesda no more. So,
no. I know what but it's also like cherry picking off of the name of it too. So, people are going when the developer comes out and says, I was working on this game and this game was supposed to come out before that game. And it kind of like, oh, well, tell me more. You want to know more because, when you're talking about, Starfield, you're talking about Elder Scrolls.
Real quick, why do you think they chose to go with Starfield before Elder Scrolls 6?
Well, because they were still in my opinion, they were still milking Elder Scrolls 5 for everything they could at the time that they were. They were still milking that. So it was no reason for them to like introduce and say that, they were in full production with the next game because, normally when you say stuff like that, then you kind of, I'm not going to say it fully dries up, but, they had just, I think not recently, it's been a while, but they had just came out with the updates when they did like not the Play Anywhere, but when they did the updates and stuff to the anniversary edition that came out, which was the 10-year anniversary, which was in 2021. They came out with that, added a whole bunch of new things to the game. That's when they made it Xbox Series, not Series X, Xbox One X. It gave it the higher functionality, 4K visuals, better overall graphic fidelity, boosted the frame rates and everything. Even did stuff to the 360 version where the back-compat version actually ran a heck of a lot better and everything. PC, as always, gets all the free updates. So if you owned it, you got the anniversary edition update for free through Steam. So there was already a lot of ways for people to play the original one, and then they just wanted to keep milking that as much as they possibly could, whereas Starfield was something new. And, yes, people would be excited to hear about the next Elder Scroll game, but I also think at a certain point, you can't just live off of Elder Scrolls. Just like we always said about Bungie. Bungie couldn't just live off of Halo. They couldn't just live off of Destiny. That's why they, in my opinion, they, tried to do something different. They just forgot to feed the cow that was giving you the milk along the way. That was their problem. And I feel like Xbox kind of lost that direction too when it came to just their direction and everything too with Bethesda and how Bethesda kind of went through a up and down period. So I think that was mostly part of it, but I also think, it's just a sexy thing to talk about. Like, why did this game come out? And it's easy to like kind of point to the struggles that Starfield had out the gate. And a lot of people say, if you ask people now about Starfield and about Elder Scrolls and the state that in some people's opinions, Skyrim, the way that they released Starfield. Some people will probably tell you, like, yeah, I'd rather they had just went and did the next Elder Scrolls than do what they did with Starfield, because some people were just disappointed by it. Versus if Starfield was everything it should have been, day one, without all the extra time and updates and everything, then I think it would have been perceived and received a lot better. But I just think it's just talking points at this point, and they're valid, especially if that is the case. But I just think it's easier to put out something new. And a lot of people, especially on Xbox, it's all about the sci-fi. Halo is built on sci-fi. And even knowing Starfield takes place in other planets and stuff like that, they were kind of leaning into that No Man's Sky territory where you can go anywhere, see anything, and then you have these battles and stuff in different, space. But then it was also grounded in a pretty amazing RPG is what they were trying to sell people. Basically Skyrim in space, which, is a big talking point in itself. So I just think that's kind of the reason they did it. Something fresh, something new. It didn't pan out. It wasn't bad. It just didn't pan out to be as groundbreaking as they wanted it to be, or as at least as groundbreaking as the gamers wanted it to be.
Yeah, I know.
What do you think?
I feel because I'm trying to I think this is just I have no inside information on this opinion. I feel like with the updates they were making to Creation Engine, that's what it's called, right? I keep getting their engine and the engine that Valve has, which is I think it's Source Engine. I don't know why I keep confusing them, but I do think it's Creation Engine that they have, right? Maybe somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they felt that the updates they were making to that would have been received better if it was like a sci-fi space experience than a fantasy, kind of not backwards, but different vibe, than that probably would not really accentuate some of the changes that they had made visually. If you play Starfield, even at launch, I felt like the suits that you would wear, the cosmetics were very, very well done. Despite some of the other technical issues with the game engine that weren't quite ready for prime time yet, those aspects were really, really good. I kind of feel like things like that wouldn't have popped as much on a Elder Scrolls game as they did on Starfield. So, I mean, I think that's part of it. And then also maybe just the very simple answer is that Todd Howard felt he wanted to do this new IP before he went back to Elder Scrolls 6. Which, hey, it's the guy in charge, so I get it, Anything else you want to say on this before we move on to the next topic? Forte?
Oh, I thought you heard me. I said, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Some very interesting news coming out from Cyberpunk, and I was aware of this. He is as big of a Cyberpunk fan as I am. I was not aware of this information that was going around, but essentially there was a modder out there, and there's a huge modding community for Cyberpunk, in case PC, in case you weren't aware. But this particular modder had created a way, and it's not necessarily a mod directly on the game, which I don't think is all that important, but we'll get into that in a minute. But it essentially allows you to play Cyberpunk in VR. But technically it is a mod. And CDPR, who develops and publishes Cyberpunk, issued a DMCA takedown of this mod. And that's somewhat shocking to some people because CDPR has been very open with people choosing to play their games and mod their games on PC, and to their heart's content, people have modded in third-person perspective modes. People have modded in new outfits and costumes. People have modded in changes to the romance options. I've seen people even start to work on creating their own like unofficial content in the game, and all this stuff is fine as far as CDPR is concerned because it's all free, and they're not charging anyone anything. And I don't think that's all because they're just like they only care about their community. I think there's some legalese issues for things like that, as we can all imagine. But not saying they hate their community, but it is what it is. But this particular modder, Forte, was basically hiding this VR mode for Cyberpunk behind a subscription paywall.
Mm-hmm.
And he himself was essentially making like $20,000 a month. Now, I don't know, like the article did not specify whether he was making this $20K a month off of the Cyberpunk mod, or if he was making it off of like other mods that he had put out there for other games and he was charging people for. All that said, long story short, CD Projekt Red was like, they actually came to him before they issued the cease and desist on it and was like, could you please not charge for this? And he balked at him, which is crazy in my mind.
Bro, if they come in, they basically coming to you and telling you, they're not telling you to stop. They're not telling you that you got to give the money back or anything that you bought. They're just telling you not just cease and desist on doing it now. It's like, wow. Yeah, but go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
So he didn't want to take it down. And then that's when they issued the cease and desist on the DMCA takedown. After that, and that story blows up, he's on Twitter trying to say why he shouldn't be treated this way, that there's nothing wrong with the VR mod that he created. It's crazy what he was saying. Like it's people.
That sounds like entitlement right there.
Yeah, and there were a few people. I saw a few people defending him because they somehow saw his point. So essentially, it's like this: the software he created doesn't directly modify anything in the Cyberpunk game. He explains it as it's akin to like MSI Afterburner, Riva Tuner.
Yeah,
you run it on your PC and it hooks into the game you're playing, and it'll give you statistics. It'll give you how much CPU
it's just like an overlay,
frame rate. Yeah, it's an overlay. And he's just saying it's like that. But here's where his mistake is, in my opinion. One, MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner are free.
Yeah, they're free, right?
so you can't say it's like that, and so therefore, because no one has told MSI you gotta get Riva Tuner up, you can't have Riva Tuner working for my game. Well, no one's needed to, because MSI isn't charging anyone for the use of that. Anyone here, you, me, anyone in the chat could go Google up Riva Tuner, MSI Afterburner, get the download page, download it on your PC.
I have it right now on my PC. I'm looking at the link. I'm looking at the shortcut
icon on my taskbar. Right. So, like, how do you try to act like you're the same? The method of how you're modifying your game is irrelevant when you're charging people money for the usage of it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. This is the same thing that happened with NVIDIA with GeForce Now. When they first came out with GeForce Now, very different. This is cloud gaming, but it's a different way of you accessing the game. You don't need to own it locally on your machine. You could boot it up on a browser, and then you could play Cyberpunk that way. they got in trouble initially because even though they weren't charging people for each individual game, they were charging people a subscription to pay to play these games and with high fidelities and high frame rates with better hardware in the cloud. And all the publishers was like, no, you won't. Not without my permission will you do that. And so it just really what it comes down to is that your NVIDIA was charging. They had to start working with publishers to get those games available again.
Yep.
MSI is not charging. No one has told MSI they need to remove their game or giving them a DMCA. You were charging, fella, and that's why they are coming after you, because you're charging money for it. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's akin to pretty much any level of marketing. Like, all companies like free marketing. They like free publicity. You making this add-on that can, interface with the game and make it into a VR experience gets more people playing Cyberpunk. So when they look at it, they look at that as like a net win. But the moment you start charging for it, it becomes more, because then it becomes that they're looking at it like even though they're not at fault for it, when people pay for something that has something to do with the game, they instantly go to the parent companies like, this isn't working. What are you going to do to fix it? And that's just more of a liability thing at the end.
Yeah, who's liable now?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say if you charge for something, you have to have a process set up for refunds. Because, it could be the best product in the world. Someone's not going to like it. Someone's going to be upset with it. And if it's the best product in the world, but you got like maybe 2% of the people want a refund, you have to have a refund policy set in there somehow. And there is levels of liability here. Remember when another Cyberpunk example, when it first came out and it was a broken mess. And it was especially broken on last gen consoles. And Sony was like, CDPR put out a statement trying to damage control it. And at the end of the statement, they said, hey, look, we fully understand if you want a refund, for the game. We get it. It's not where we want it to be. It's not where you want it to be. That's it. If you want a refund, please speak with Xbox and PlayStation. And Xbox didn't say nothing, but Sony was not happy with that. Sony was like, wait, hold up, pause. Wait, come to me for refunds after I already paid you your cut for these games? So I'm supposed to go without? No, sir. They're going to come to you. I did my part. I provided you the hardware for you to put your game on. Your game is busted. We told you to fix these things, which partially I would say technically Sony does play a part in it, because there's a reason why you have what's the word I'm looking for on console, where like you can't just update a game.
Oh, you talking about the
certification,
that you got to pay for.
This is the reason why you have certifications. But they gave CDPR a pass because they were a veteran developer and they expected them to fix all these issues before launch. They didn't. And so
but they also told them, like, we're not eating this money, you're eating it.
Right. But what I'm saying is that I agree with that, but Sony isn't like 1,000% like
no, they weren't,
because this wouldn't have been a deal if they would have told them like, look, you failed certification. And they did. But they told them, instead of just telling them you failed certification, you're going to have to delay your game until it's ready.
If I remember correctly,
they failed certification, and then they told them that, like, look, we won't, make a big fuss about it. Just fix it before launch. And they didn't. My bad.
If I remember correctly, PlayStation basically told them that they had to do refunds. They did the refunds, and then they pulled it off the store. PlayStation pulled it off the store. Xbox still had it on the store, and CD still did refunds on the Xbox, but it was never affected. Like, you couldn't. It wasn't like you couldn't go to the store and still buy it on Xbox. You can still buy it if you want it. But I remember them having the thing on, like a clause on the screen, like performance, situation with performance and stuff with the game, buy at your own risk or some stuff like that. They still had that like listed on the sale page, but you can still buy it, as on PlayStation you couldn't buy it at all. And you can still buy it, of course, on PC and stuff. But it was crazy because,
the reason why I brought that up is that like there's culpability on both parties, right?
Yeah,
because
both parties.
PlayStation got 30% cut on every sale, and they allowed the game to be playable on their platform, knowing the state it was in before it launched. And then, so they say they carry some liability here, but not the lion's share of it. The lion's share of it goes to CDPR. But regardless, there's some culpability if you're taking money from people. And so to bring this back to this modder, you have some kind of subscription. I don't know what you're getting in that subscription. I know he's a famous modder that makes mods for different games, and this whole VR thing can work in other games. I don't know if those games are free to play or not. Who knows? But like, if you start charging for something, you're now, liable to be forced to give that money back, or be asked to give that money back if it does not live up to the expectations of the consumers that you're basically charging for access to it. And when you're doing that on a game that you didn't make, you use zero assets or code in that game to develop, your tools or your software, but it's still that game, and you're still marketing the VR mod as a Cyberpunk VR mod. So when you do that, it's almost implied to the consumer that there's some consent here when you're charging money for it. And so if someone were to say, I played your VR mod and it made me blind. It blinded me. I'm blind 60% in my right eye and 70% in my left eye. And now I want reparations here. I want to be made some way whole. Even though I'm not gonna be made whole, I just want your money. But like, they're gonna sue CDPR. Yeah, they're gonna sue CDPR as well as you, because it's your mod that they were charged for, even though it wasn't their mod at all. So it's just like, you can't allow that stuff to happen. And
because CDPR is going to be the one that's going to pay, and then they're going to come after you for damages after as a secondary suit. And then depending on their financial situation, that's just money that's like just dead money, because they're probably never going to collect on it, because that person's not going to have the money to like replace that. But the biggest thing that this kind of reminds me of is, like you just said, like how both sides have equal share in it. It's like Bethesda with their Creation Club. It's like everything that's bought inside the Creation Club, is either made by the Bethesda themselves, or creators inside of their community that sign up to be a part of that. So there's a shared vision from creators to the developer and publisher themselves.
And Bethesda gets a cut of the sales
of every
as well,
sale that happens. So they reap the benefits of people putting things and making things for their game. Now, if this was the same, because like CDPR, I can't speak right now.
CDPR.
Yeah, CDPR. As I say, CDP Project Red, but yeah, CDPR. They don't mind people, doing like mods and stuff. But yeah, once you start charging people for stuff, it's not that, the funny thing is, that's why I think it was just more of a conversation about, can you please take this down? We're not going to come after you for the monetary value of the stuff. Shoot, they might put that person on payroll because they were able to like come up with something that could be able to do it. But when you kind of balk at them and say like, who are you? And I'm being the lawyer of the company and creator of that IP, I am like, who the heck do you think you are? You don't own nothing. You own a license to activate and use our game. That is all you have.
Yeah, you created software that even though you did not use our code, you didn't use our assets, you didn't use, any of those things, but you are marketing that's the technical side of it. The business side of it is the only reason why you're making money off of this. And I don't know if it's all due to Cyberpunk or maybe just a little bit due to Cyberpunk, but you're making $20K a month by doing things like this. And if that $20K a month is coming due to you marketing this software off of my popular IP, yes, I get the right to tell you kick rocks. Take my name off of that. Mm-hmm. Even if the consumer who buys it or has your subscription and is able to have access to it through their subscription, even if they're still able to use Cyberpunk with it because it's it's not directly interfacing with the game, fine, but you can't market this subscription with my name on it, with my stuff on it, with my intellectual property attached to it. You didn't get permission to do that, and you're not paying me to do that. Mm-hmm. And so, and now you leave me legally wide open in case your work, your product is a piece of garbage and disappointing people. Because then it's not because you put my name on it. It's not, hey, Jon Snow. I don't know why. I was thinking about Game of Thrones earlier. So Jon Snow's Cyberpunk VR mod. Like they're not going to say, well, I'm never going to buy from Jon Snow again. He sucks. His subscription sucks. And his TV series ended poorly. They're not going to say that. They're going to be like, Jon Snow and Cyberpunk suck, and I'm not getting Cyberpunk 2 because this VR.
And I'm not getting the new Witcher either.
Right. You can't separate yourself from that while you're using their IP to make money. You can't separate the culpability while reaping all the benefits. It's just not how this works, man. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say on this before we move on to the next one? I kind of want to.
That's crazy. Yeah, but no, that's it.
Oh really? Oh really?
So this is a personal enjoyment of mine. Or Forte probably does not care at all about this, but
is this Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
All right,
buddy,
I'll be back.
Fire Emblem.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Forte has to step away anyway for family stuff, so I will regale you guys with my love of Fire Emblem and just essentially speaking about this news topic anyway. So it's not just going to be me gushing about Fire Emblem for the most part. So don't worry about it. Anyway, Fire Emblem's Fortune's Weave accidentally had its release date leaked by Eurogamer. And apparently it's supposed to be released on May 22nd, which I think that's perfect for me. Perfect time for me to put literally every game down and just play this game. This is the reason why I own a Switch 2. It's the only reason. As a lot of you guys know, I was like, hey, look, I'm not buying a Switch 2 until I see something that I really, really want. And the only two things that in the entire time since they've shown this game to now that I really, really wanted, not saying I haven't bought games on there, I clearly have, and it's just been mostly games I own everywhere else, but I just wanted to own it in one more place. That's a hybrid handheld mobile thing, that's all. But Fire Emblem Fortune Weave is one, and the other is From Software's Dust Bloods, which is supposed to come out this year as well. Those are the only two games that I cared about, and as soon as they announced this one, it was good to go for me at least. So, I think when it comes down to it coming out this year, it's kind of, I'm not gonna say I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned because they haven't had a direct since they revealed it, but we've only seen one trailer, and so there's a lot you can infer from that trailer. But we don't know more. We don't know more of how they are improving upon the systems. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who came from Three Houses, really enjoyed it, played engaged, did not enjoy it as much. And now they're looking at this next one. They want to know, where have you made sure that you didn't create some of the missteps that you had before? And where can we get back on track to where Three Houses was, and just give us what Three Houses did, but do it better. Three Houses had a lot of frame rate issues, which, it was clearly because the Switch 1 is severely underpowered, and the Switch 2 is still underpowered, but it's not as bad as Switch 1 was. And with the art style and the general direction that the developer for Fire Emblem does with their games, it's not going to be something that's going to be too difficult to run. At least it shouldn't be. So I'm super, super excited for that. I hope that release date is legit, but it does appear that it will be. But just considering everything we know now, I do find that May is going to be a very interesting month. Now, this game is one of my most anticipated games of the year. But for other people who may not care as much about this, they may find that they may be interested in this game, but other games may pull their attention more. Like, we have Forza Horizon 6 is supposed to come out in May. There's actually more games than just that, though. Let me double check, because I was fairly certain that there was at least 3 big games that were supposed to come out May 2026. And I just want to double check that. Okay. 007 First Light is May 27th. Lego Batman, which I'm definitely getting, is May 29th. So these are later in the month. Well, what that actually, Fire Emblem is not exactly early in the month as well. That's the 22nd. But all within that time frame, and then you have a little bit earlier, you have Forza Horizon 6. That's a lot of heat coming all in one month, if you think about it. Let's see here. Ooh. Official Clizzle of 420. That's what's up. Good to see you, bro. Member for 2 months says, I'm gonna save the show for tomorrow at work. Thanks for content. Y'all need to have some game nights. Also, I want to see y'all stream Arc Raiders one day. Hey, look, I don't know about the Arc Raiders, but yeah, we could do some game nights. We need to get Forte, into playing games again. I'm not saying he a fraud, but just, he don't be playing games like that. So of course, we need to do some game night stuff. That'll be fun. Even if it's not something like super competitive, we could do Among Us. We could do Uno. I don't care. Just as long as get together, get some people in here, have some fun. I'm with it. I'm with it, Clizzle. And he's also gifted a membership to Joe Sama 2D. I don't know if Joe is seeing that, but Joe, please give Clizzle a thank you if you can. Appreciate you, Clizzle. Hope you have a good rest of your night, and hope you enjoy the replay tomorrow. I know you usually watch the replays, but no, I mean, to get back to Fire Emblem, I think this might be a Game of the Year contender if it really, really nails the expectations. And I say this could be a Game of the Year contender, not that it will win, but it will be in the nominees category. Nintendo always seems to have one game in that category, and for the life of me, I can't think of anything else that's supposed to come out this year outside of Fire Emblem. So if this game is really good, like I hope it is, and considering Three Houses, a lot of people felt was snubbed for a Game of the Year nominee nod. I think they might be rectifying that with this one. We'll have to see. You know what? We're gonna move on, because I know Forte needs time to get back, but I'm gonna go ahead and get on into one of the main topics, because it is this might take a little while for us to get through. change that up. So we got, it seems like for the past 3 weeks, we've been getting a lot of talk from Ubisoft. 2 weeks ago, we were hearing from Julian Garrity, who's the franchise director of the Division series, talking about how great the Division 3 is going, how great that's doing. And you know, sure, hey, look, we love to hear that, but, you know, seeing is believing, and we're not going to really trust you until you show us the game. So, you know, you can say whatever you want, words of win. Then last week we found out that, you know, all this additional information, the Division's getting a 60 frames per second mode, the Division 1 on consoles, the Division 2 is getting a realism mode in March for, you know, all platforms. It's going to transform the game from a looter shooter to like a third person tactical shooter. A lot of people who saw that was like, oh, okay, all right, you know, maybe I'll check this out. And then, like, literally the day after we had our show, Julian makes the announcement that he's leaving. And he's leaving Ubisoft, he's leaving Massive, and he was the one that helped, you know, he was directed the first 2 games. And he's going to EA to help them with Battlefield. Now, did they explicitly say that Julian is taking over for the late Vince Zambella, who passed away in December? Maybe it is. We don't know yet. We don't know that officially. But he is someone who has been running a series the same way that Vince was running the IP. I'm sorry, I said series, but the IP of Battlefield. Julian is someone who was running the IP of The Division. So it may be probably not a one-to-one replacement. Clearly not a one-to-one replacement. He can't really fill Vince's shoes, but he could try to keep Battlefield on the straight and narrow, where, you know, keeping the positive momentum that it's having, considering it is officially considered, at least in the United States, the highest sold game of 2025. So clearly they did some things right, even if some people may feel like in the meantime that, like, them having to delay the second season for a month, the complaints about the grind to getting, you know, certain attachments unlocked and getting through the battle pass, they got some stuff they got to figure out. But that said, Julian's probably up to the challenge on that. But this was information that we found out after our show last week. Fast forward to today, and well, technically this week, you know, it was a couple of days ago. And here we find out that Ubisoft has undergone an extensive restructuring over the past week. And I think that this is potentially probably the real reason why Julian left. 6 games have been canceled, including 4 unannounced games. 3 were brand new IPs, a mobile title, and the Prince of Persia remake. So if you remember or recall, the Prince of Persia, the Sand of Time remake was supposed to be out a long time ago. They showed it, people laughed, said it was hideous. They put it back in the tuck. They found a different developer to work on it, and we hadn't heard anything since. Apparently, you know, clearly since they canceled the game, that new developer wasn't able to make much headway in making what they were working on better in this remake anyway. But there's that. 7 games have been delayed for better quality, one of which was expected before April 2026, and which is now coming before April 2027. A lot of people think this is the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake. And I would say, cool, because I'm never going to complain about a game being delayed to fix quality. I mean, who wants to play a game that's not good or has too many issues? Arcade says, so he knew and dodged the bullet. It would appear so. It would appear that maybe he looked at what was going on and said, you know what, I don't think this restructuring, and I'll get into how they restructured Ubisoft. You know, maybe he's just like, this isn't for me. I don't like the direction this is going, and I'm just not going to stick around. But essentially, they have, they also, before I get to that, they've closed down Ubisoft Halifax and Ubisoft Stockholm. So those studios have been closed down. And now Ubisoft will operate under 5 creative houses for a different IP. And so each creative house will be responsible for delivering quality games in particular kinds of genres. And they will also have their own leadership and have end-to-end responsibility for their portfolio for better or faster decisions, which also, double-edged sword, is for pinpointing who's the one that's failing and getting rid of them. So you look, if you were anyone in leadership in any of those creative houses, you may like your newfound freedom. It may be short-lived. Just saying. But could potentially, and I'm just, I'm not saying this is the truth, but I'm just throwing it out there that, maybe Julian felt like he should have been the person that should have been running the creative house that the Division franchise is a part of. Or potentially they could have been like, hey, look, we don't really see a future for you here for what you do as a franchise director. We don't really need that for this IP anymore. Who knows? We don't know the all the specifics to it, but considering he's leaving before this announcement came out, it has to be either that or he got poached by EA for Battlefield. It has to be some one of these reasons is the reason why he left. But we'll get into each creative house. So the first one is the one I think most people are aware of fully, and that is Vantage Studios, which is the joint initiative between them, Ubisoft that is, and Tencent. And this is the creative branch that will oversee Rainbow Six. It will oversee Assassin's Creed, and it will oversee Far Cry. I'm about to say Firecry. Good grief, what is that? Far Cry, which are all like those 3 are the best-selling IP that Ubisoft has. Rainbow Six with Siege, that's been going on for over a decade. Solid community, makes them a lot of money. Assassin's Creed, every time they drop an Assassin's Creed, it charts on the year-to-date best-selling games charts. And Far Cry, Far Cry does pretty good. It's the least successful of the 3, but it does pretty good. So that's the first one. The second one is called, very generically, and they're all generic like this, Creative House 2, which is supposed to be working on competitive and cooperative shooter experiences. This is the one where the Division is in, where Julian Garrity left. And this is going to basically be the Division, Ghost Recon, and they actually said Splinter Cell, which if they actually make a Splinter Cell game, I would be shocked at this point. But maybe they will now that that creative house has its own leadership. And we don't know if that means autonomy to make, and greenlight things that you deem are worthy to be greenlit. But maybe this might, for the Splinter Cell fans, be a ray of hope that you might actually get a Splinter Cell game in the future. But there's that one. There's Creative House 3, which they call it as select sharp live experiences. And for example, those are your For Honors, The Crew, Riders Republic, Brawlhalla, Skull and Bones, which I'm pretty sure Skull and Bones isn't successful, but I've always kind of felt like I heard For Honor is, For Honor is still going, still getting content, still getting updated. But Riders Republic, I thought that was like a really successful title, even though I never played it. But like, I think that one did well. So this might be like the kind of studio that they may give a lot of their budget on gaming to, because those are the games that have a lot of boom or bust potential. Like these are the games that could, you didn't put a lot of money into the budget, but it blew up anyway. Like I'm trying to think of a good live service game that blew up like that. Maybe Helldivers 2, I guess. I feel like there are other ones, but I can't think of it right now. Anyway, Creative House 4, there's only 2 more left. Creative House 4 for fantasy worlds and narrative-driven universes like Anno, Might and Magic, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil. And so I'm going to take a pause here for a second. Somehow Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. And I've seen people multiple times today saying like, wait a minute, are you serious? Like, it's really still in development? Yeah, it's really still in development. The game somehow is dodged all the bullets in the world, you know? Oh, what's up? The Real Nate says, I already pre-ordered the $120 edition of Forza Horizon 6. We're going to get the Forza, but that premium $120 edition, I need somebody to explain to me why that costs so much. Like, I needed someone to explain to me what it provides that justifies $120. I would really like to know. Yes, at Far Cry does do pretty good, but it is on the decline. And the last, what is this? The last one is Creative House 5. And this might actually be the one that makes the most money if you think about it. Creative House 5 does casual and family-friendly like games like Just Dance, Uno, and Hasbro. And so like definitely for Just Dance, because I know so many like just casual people who wouldn't really call themselves a gamer, but they do own a gaming system here and there. Like a lot of these people love Just Dance. Like I don't quite get it. It ain't for me. But you know, it's definitely for someone. And I think those games have always done well. Uno, I own Uno. I own Uno. I don't remember seeing a Ubisoft logo pop up when I played it years ago. But yeah, I own Uno on, I think it's either on PlayStation or Steam. It's one or the other. But no, and then Hasbro, I think that's mostly action figures, I think. But you know, you gotta have somebody handling that kind of stuff, so it makes sense. This restructuring though, it's very, very interesting. I feel like this might be, I don't want to speak ill of Ubisoft, but I feel like this might be their last hurrah if this doesn't work out. Like before they just get completely consumed and acquired by Tencent. Because you've tried making all your games the same, which backfired. You've tried getting rid of the people who were doing that, as well as being racist and what's the other word? Misogynistic towards women, racist towards other minorities. And these were some of the same people who were basically keeping everything status quo, making every game play the same. Like, you got rid of those people. You're supposed to be more creative at this point. But it just seems like they consistently can't get out of their own way. And this is what I mean by that. So now extraction shooters are in. Arc Raiders is blowing up. Over 12 million copies sold last year. You got Marathon coming out in a couple of months. We don't know if Marathon's going to be good or not. It's trending towards that. But, you know, it's another extraction shooter that's going to be out in the market. Ubisoft was developing with Red Storm Entertainment. They were developing the Division Heartland extraction shooter. I was in the alpha for it. I mean, I'm not that big into action shooters. I feel like, considering why people like Arc Raiders, they would have loved Division Heartland. They would have freaking loved it. But they canceled the game, and they never explained why they canceled it. They just canceled it. And I know internally, and this is something that maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, but internally, they were hoping Division Heartland carried the Division IP until Division 3 was ready. They had already sunset all development on Division 2 at that time. And after they canceled Heartland, they went and got one of their support studios and restarted development on Division 2, while Massive Entertainment, the main developer for the Division, was working on Avatar and it's the other one, Star Wars Outlaws. So they always seem to miss the boat. Like, you were there. You were right there for the first time in forever. You were about to be on the forefront of a big boom. You're about to be the one who caught the wave and wasn't like waiting for the wave to show up and missed it. They were going to be right there and they canceled the game. And now Embark is like, thank you. We appreciate you. Now we're taking all this attention. This has been their MO. Like they see a trend that's awesome. And see these games that are out, then they start trying to develop games after that. But, game development takes a really long time. So by the time they get to releasing the game, they've already missed the wave. The bubble has burst. And somehow they did this in reverse with this situation. And so, long story short, I kind of feel like they've had a lot of second chances. But I feel like the time is starting to come up where people just aren't going to rock with you like that no more. Especially when you have like the most developers and the most manpower worldwide in the gaming industry. Like, how do you maintain all that when your market cap is really small? You basically financially are really only generating the kind of revenue that a mid to small publisher is generating. Like, they're not up there with the EAs, the Activisions, the Take-Twos. They make way more money than what Ubisoft is. They were around the range of like Capcom. So Capcom was at one point in trouble, and now they're doing fantastic. I would love to see the same happen with Ubisoft, but I'm very, very doubtful. Just as long, and at this point, I'm just like, just give me my Division 3. I'm everything, whatever happens to you, just as long as I get Division 3, get to play it for a year or two, I'm fine. Yeah, all right. We can move on now to no, I think Forte should have been back by now, but it's cool. We can move on to the final topic here. And I know that Forte has some different thoughts on this 2026 Xbox Developer Direct, but I'm gonna do a quick recap of things, then kind of get into it. We'll kind of go game by game, but the first game they showed, they only showed 4 games here at the Dev Direct, which is probably the least amount they've ever shown, and since they've started doing this, but their format allows for them to really kind of get deep into these games, so I guess that's fine. But the first game shown was Forza Horizon 6, which visually looked fantastic. Looked great. Look what you expect from a Forza Horizon game. They all look great visually. It has a lot of like Japanese landscape in this huge open world that you're driving in. That makes sense. They still have brought the festival back. I'm kind of sick of the festival. They've been doing the festival since 2, 3. Like a little tired of it. It's a little bit different now. Now you have to earn like these wristbands to gain access to other areas on the map. With the final area being an island, a nearby island, which I guess that's okay. We'll have to see how that's executed. But and there's that, and they have like these open car races now. So if you ever watched, like the way I imagine it, and maybe I'm in my head on this, but like the way if you watched like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, where they would have like these races and just Fast and Furious in general before it went crazy and they were like fighting aliens on Mars and stuff. Like when they were just a bunch of, dummies racing their cars and killing themselves. Like when they were doing that, that's essentially what it seems like. You got like these open car race areas where you could go there, you could interact with other players, you could trade paints and decals and stuff like that, and then you can actually do races that that would originate from these open areas. And I think that's like a unique idea that takes what people expect from a racing game or arcade racing game based in Japan, and kind of gives people what they're looking for. Ramon says he can't get enough of the festival. He's glad they brought the wristbands back. So that was a thing before. I don't remember that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm old. I turned 45 last Monday, so I don't remember those things. So let me get further into this. So Forza Horizon 6 comes out May 19th. It is in early access on Xbox and PC. Something that I don't recall. Is it May 19th for the early access? Or is the early access 4 days earlier than May 19th? I couldn't get clarification on that. I'm pretty sure I just probably missed it. That's fine. But it will also be coming to PlayStation 5 later this year. So if you wanted to play it on PlayStation, if you're willing to wait a few months to get into it, yeah, just go ahead and wait for that. They have very authentic looks for all 4 of the seasons, and apparently, I think they said 150 cars will be available at launch. Seems like a lot. I'm not a big racing guy, so hey, sounds like a lot to me. What else here? You can construct your own living space, which I thought was a nice, interesting addition to just like before, where you could just buy a spot. And then when you come back into the game, you would basically choose your vehicle and you would just drive out of the driveway from the home that you have. This seems to go a little bit further. Now you can kind of customize the way it looks. If you're into that, you're going to probably really, really enjoy that. And then it's also, finally, I would say this, it's supposed to have the soundtrack, the music, which has always been very much attempted to be authentic to the region that you're in. I haven't always felt that to be the case with Forza Horizon, but they're claiming the soundtrack will be authentic to the Japanese region. So we'll have to see on that. I'm still definitely going to play it. I'm not buying it. I probably will just, because I have PC Game Pass, so I'll just play it through PC Game Pass. I always skip. Oh, my bad. There was a teaser at the end where it looked like a Gundam or something was walking behind one of the cars. And so I don't know how they would implement that. Like, Lego made a lot of sense. Hot Wheels made a lot of sense. I don't know how a freaking Gundam makes sense in a racing game, but sure. It's Japan, so I'm pretty sure that's why it potentially why it's there. But let's see how they make it work. Regardless, I almost never get the deal. I think I may have bought one of their DLCs, which, if you have Game Pass, you only have access, when it comes to Forza Horizon, you only get access to the base game. Any expansions are not included, so you have to pay for those on your own. That's typically, I've always been the kind of person that when I play Forza Horizon, I don't play Forza Motorsport at all. It's too technical. But with Forza Horizon, I play it heavy for like 2 weeks. And then I'm really hard pressed to ever pick it back up again. So more than likely, it's just not going to make any sense for me to get that DLC. But we'll see what happens with it. Ramon says each region has some songs that are authentic. Oh, okay, that's what they're talking about. Okay, well, no, we'll see what happens. What else here? After that, there was Beast of Reincarnation, which is being developed by Game Freak, who makes the Pokemon games. And those Pokemon games, we're just going to keep it a buck here. The quality of those Pokemon games is very, very suspect. Most people kind of feel like those games, even the ones that love Pokemon, like those Pokemon, they're children. Like, they see these Pokemon games are trash. They're dumpster juice. But they still buy them. So I guess they're not that much trash. But anywho, Game Freak, who makes those trash Pokemon games, is now making this action RPG that does have some turn-based elements to it. That's focused in this post-apocalyptic melee focused combat world. And you have these two characters. One's Emma, and the other one is, I don't know how I pronounce this name. Is it Ko? Emma and Ko? Emma and Cuckoo? Something like that. I don't know. But Emma and Ko are your protagonists, and Emma's this young Japanese girl who's like a samurai or assassin or something, and Cuckoo is a white wolf that's like the size of her. He's humongous. He's one of the dire wolves in Game of Thrones or something. But most of the humans in the world have succumbed to something called the Blight, which that's so generic. Where did I hear the Blight before? Dragon Age. So they just stole that from the Dragon Age. Cool, whatever. There will be a variety of playstyles, skill trees, equipment for you to use, and for you to play the game however you kind of like feel comfortable playing it. I will say this looked good. This looked way better than I thought it was going to be. And it being a game that I was probably going to skip but might pick up later on a sale, it's kind of risen up a bit for me. Not to the point where it's a day one cop for me, but I am far more interested in the game than I was before I saw the showcase. So I could definitely say that. I don't think. Okay, yeah, release date. That one's supposed to come summer 2026. So this summer they don't have an exact release date. So that could slip. That could slip to the fall. Who knows? I am somewhat interested in seeing Game Freak deliver on a game that is a brand new IP that isn't relying upon the strong nostalgia factor plus strong just addiction of fans for Pokemon. Like if this game is as bad as their Pokemon games, they're going to hear it, because this game doesn't have a parachute the way Pokemon does. Doesn't have a way out, an exit out of it. They're going to have to eat that. And so I think I'm interested in seeing how this plays out for Game Freak, because now they're not relying on Daddy Nintendo and the Pokemon Company and the strength of that IP in order to ignore all the deficiencies a game may have. But yeah, there's that. The third game shown, this is the secret game that wasn't quite much of a secret. I know a lot of people who knew about this game ahead of time, but for most people, I think this probably would have been a surprise. But Double Fine has, this is so, and I can't say this name. No, not Clean. It's Kiln. However you pronounce that. I know Ramon's in the chat. He'll give me the correct pronunciation. Klingon, Clinky, I don't know. It's whatever it is, right? It begins with K. But this game, this is typical Double Fine fashion. They made something completely unique you will never find anywhere else. This is a multiplayer pottery game that, I mean, you just like those. I thought I probably would never hear like this kind of like combination before. When they first showed it, I was like, okay, they're making pots. I just thought it was going to be one of those games like it's a pottery simulator. You're just making pots and selling them or some crap like that. But no, you're making pots that you then, like, the style of the pot that you made would like determine its attack style or abilities or whatever, and then that you would take these things into like these brawler kind of multiplayer arenas with other players and fight your pottery with these players. It's like cockfighting, but instead of with chickens and roosters, you've got pottery. You got an ashtray. You got a lamp. You got a vase. This kind of game, I'll say this for like the way Microsoft tends to operate is that they seem to have no problem really kind of pushing for these kind of experiences where I wouldn't even call it double A. It's just indie. But indie is the wrong word. It's a double A experience. Like, for example, Grounded, the first Grounded was made with like about 12 people. The second one, they outsourced a lot of the grunt work to another studio, but it's still roughly a good like maybe 24 people making that game. That's a very, very small team. Pentiment was made by 12 people. And even though I think the story is really good for that game and it's underrated, but visually it's in level design and just game design, it's definitely a game that didn't take a lot of people to make. And so I think it is interesting that they always push for these kind of titles from Xbox Game Studios in particular, because remember they got 3 different publishing houses.
Oh, you talking about Xbox?
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, I forgot. I'm sitting there like, why wouldn't I just jump in on my phone in Discord? This weather sucks. You gonna get this in the next 2 days.
Well, I'm hoping it's severely weakened by the time it gets to me. But yeah,
no, I want you to get every bit of this 7.5 to 9 inches of snow that we got over the last 2 days.
Oh well, that's actually I hope it's that, because they're calling for 14 over here. So 14 to well over a foot of snow, 2 feet of snow that they were saying. So
good God, yeah.
I don't want any of that. So I'll take 9 inches. Wait, whoa, hold on. I won't take 9 inches.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
I hear that's the average length of like snowfall in the country.
Well, I don't want any parts of that. Okay.
You don't want. So basically, what you're saying is you ain't trying to go in the deep end.
I don't want any parts of any inches of anything. It's what I'm saying. So look, I'm on the topic about Xbox. What to kind of go back a little bit, what were your thoughts on Forza Horizon 6?
I think Forza Horizon 6 is good. I like the way that it looks. I like the environments and everything. I think the biggest thing for me is Forza always looks good. It's not a moment that I feel like that game doesn't look good, especially when it comes to the Horizon series. I mean, motorsport always look good because it's more grounded in reality. I mean, of course, the same thing with Horizon. The cars are more reality, the environments and stuff, but it's still an arcade racer, so it has arcade tendencies. So when I see Forza Horizon, I'm like, this looks like Forza Horizon. It definitely has a distinct look. I like how they got the GSGT or the GRT on the front of it. That looks really cool as basically the mascot car for this one. The biggest thing for me that is with this is until I see it on my PC or on my Xbox or PlayStation, if you want to say that too, until I see it there, it's kind of hard to discern or really, really say that it looks drastically better than what we got with Forza Horizon 5. I think the biggest thing is Japan was the goal. Like, just to see Japan, Mount Fuji, all of those different things. I like the street racing that they implement. So I think it's going to be a good game. But these games are really, really they're showpieces. They're the things that everybody talks about. Is like, how can car games are hard to make look good. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it looks really good. It looks like Forza always looks. I'm just interested to see what they're doing with the gameplay outside of what they were doing before, because it's kind of been like a very consistent formula with Forza, with the festival and everything. And I think that's probably the biggest thing.
I'm a little tired of the festival, man.
Yeah, I want something different. That's mostly probably what it is. Like, I like the festival idea, but in general, it's like we done did the festival, 4 or 5 times at this point. Let's kind of iterate on something. It's not just one thing you can do to bring a bunch of people together that like to, race and drive cars across the countryside. It's more to it than just that. So I'm really interested to see what that part of the game is going to be, or is it going to be a slightly better version of what we got in 5, which was a slightly better version that we got in 4, which was a slightly better version that we got in 3. And I felt
Yeah.
like, and to this day, I feel like 3 did the biggest jump. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping to see this do that same thing that 3 did when it goes to like more implementations of what the overall environments. 3 was the first one to bring all the different races and stuff, like the different DLCs like Lego and everything, and being able to have that stuff in there. But once you go to the well so many times with it, it just feels like it's the same. So I feel like Japan is enough to basically get people really, really interested. It's going to sell really well, especially on PlayStation, because that's like kind of the home turf, and they haven't had a game that really, really dived in and just participated in Japan like that before. So it's going to do good there. But when it comes to like the purists of people that play Forza for what Forza is, myself, I just kind of want to see them take it a little bit further. And the festival is the first thing that they need to like really, really reiterate on.
Okay, so let me pick your brain on a couple of new things that they're doing in this one that haven't been in the previous game. So the first one is like these open races, which I wish they would have come up with a better name for it. Something that kind of like really. I know I keep thinking about Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, but that's one of the better Fast and Furious movies in my opinion. I know that might be a minority opinion, but it is what it is. It's
Oh,
mine.
Tokyo
Get
Drift
over it,
was
right?
awesome, bro. Tokyo Drift was awesome.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Thank you. Thank you. So kind of like just really in general with Fast and Furious, like before it went off the rails where they were street racing, like that kind of atmosphere. So these open races, you can go to these areas and you can, showcase your car. You can trade paint, paint jobs with other players. It's a multiplayer aspect thing. And then you could also get into races. And so I don't know if they race with pink slips or nothing like that, but like, I think that would be dope. But like you can get into races with other players there. And it seemed a lot more like free flowing than just the other like standard races that you have dotted all over the map. And the other thing is the house now. So before you could just, you would get a home or whatever, and then you would just, whenever you drop into the game, they would just see your avatar driving out of the driveway. Now you can kind of customize your home. And I think that's a bit of a huge jump there, that where people can kind of,
They're
kind of put their
finally
own
going
personality
test
to it.
drive. They're finally doing the test drive unlimited thing where you can have you have a house with a garage and you can deck out the house and stuff like you could in that. And that was like one of the best versions, the best aspects of test drive that I felt like Forza definitely could have implemented. And it's good to see that they're actually going in that direction because, you can actually, now the thing is, can other people go into your house and see the things that you have I mean, you would think so because you can decorate it, but I'm not going to 100% say that's a 100% thing that does happen. Maybe it's only for your own enjoyment versus it's a multiplayer game, you would think that you could take your UPC and walk into other people's houses with them and see all of their things. Like you could see, like if they give you trophies and stuff, like for some of the events you ran, you can get those and showcase them like on your trophy case and all this other stuff. And maybe they'll have a TV with the couch in front of it that will show replays of some of your races that you won that are like showing on the screen, like as replays and stuff. Like just kind of making it feel more like this is a house that you're renting while you're at the event or whatever you're doing. And then these are all the amenities you get along with that while you're participating in it. I feel like that will be, like you said, the next step in like the more atmospheric side of what Forza is, because they already got the car side down. The car side is perfect, but we're also talking about what the side of the game that you're interacting with when it comes to the NPC, because like it or not, they really do focus on the fact that you have an NPC in this game, and they show those NPCs a lot when it comes to like, getting out of the car, talking to other people as you're progressing through the story and everything. Not so much when you're doing like the multiplayer races, but when you're doing the single player, you interact with a lot of the other NPCs a lot. So to see them flesh that out a little bit more and allow you to be able to use that in more of a multiplayer function where other people can like dive in and see exactly what you accomplished in a game would be really, really good.
Yeah. Next was Beast of Reincarnation by your buddies at Game Freak. And
Yes! I can't believe
how
they're
did
making a
you
game that's
how
not
did you like that one?
Dude, I told you the moment I saw that game, I was interested. And that was before I knew Game Freak was making it. And I was like, and then that's when I went on to that whole tirade about how can they not make a good looking Pokemon game. And I was like, but these dudes are making freaking Beast of Reincarnation. And I'm like, well, what are we doing here? So that's where all the manpower and all the graphical fidelity is going to that side of the company and not to the side of the company that makes the most money. But I'm not going to rant about that. But I really, really, really liked it. I think them doing the stoppage and slowage of time really, really sold to me the fact because I was like, dude, this gives me 33 vibes. And that's not a bad thing. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, this game is biting off of 33 with some of its systems and stuff. I'm going to say, as long as the game is good, bite away. It's not the same story. It's not the same experience. It's going to be a completely different shell of a game in itself, but it's taking some of the good things that we liked and it was implemented in other games, and they're going to make it their own. So I am highly, highly interested in this game, and I was already there, but the demo actually kind of pushed me over the edge where it went from a
Whoa,
maybe day one to a
whoa.
I'm picking it up on day one. But go ahead.
There's a demo?
Is there?
That's what you just said. You said that demo.
No. Did I say demo?
You sure said demo.
Oh, I swear I didn't mean to say demo. No, not a demo. I meant to. If I said
Okay.
demo, meant to say if there is a. I said it just makes me want to go and pick up this game on day one versus it being. Oh, I know what I said. Yeah, instead of it being like a demo, I said instead of it being something that I would like kind of wait and see on it. It's something I went from like, oh, I can wait to get it the next time or not day one. I'm definitely picking it up day one now.
Okay.
There's no demo. Microsoft didn't drop no demos out here.
Yeah, it's not quite on the level for day one for me, but I'm
Not
definitely
yet.
more interested in it than I was before. Seeing what they got and seeing like the diversity in combat really kind of made me a little sold on it. I'm a little burnt out on Souls likes. This is not a Souls like. I'm not saying this looks like a Souls like, but
SloMo, every game's not a Souls game, SloMo. You should know that.
I that's what I said. I didn't say this is a Souls like,
I
but
know,
I'm
but that's
just
what other people are going to say. It's like, just because it looks like a soul and smells like a soul, it doesn't mean it's a soul.
yeah. This is different enough from Souls games that it may pique my interest because like shout out to Ramon in the chat. Ramon's been trying to get me to play First Burger Kazan for like 6 months, and I'm just like, dude, no.
I hear
I'm
that's
just
pretty
like
good.
I recognize the game is quality. I don't care. I just don't want to play any Souls likes right now. The next time I pick one up will be Dust Bloods, and hopefully it's delivering what the kind of experience I want from software, not like another Night Rain or something like that. But to get completely caught up, what was your opinion on Double Fine's Pottery Brawler game?
I will say this. I like the execution. I like the way that is something different. And part of me feels like this could be a game that could be in the vein of something that a lot of people weren't looking at and they were sleeping on, and it could turn out to be something that's really, really cool. Grounded was a game that a lot of people were scoffing at, like, I don't want to do this. I remember SloMo was like, I'm not trying to go fight a ladybug in the woods and all this other crazy stuff. And you still never really went back and like really played the game, but you said, I remember you saying you went in and played it with one of your friends one day just because they liked it. And you said, it's actually a really good game. It's actually pretty cool. It's just not something that I would choose to play, by myself or anything like that. But for the most part, when I saw it, I was like, this is different, but I think it also has an opportunity to do something that a lot of other games don't do because it's in its own lane. It's in its own genre. They can do whatever they want to do with that game to make it into what is this. And it has the opportunity, would it be in a multiplayer game, being something that could actually, gravitate to a bigger audience than what it actually might have or perceive to have off the gate. Because the one thing I will say about Microsoft is their promotion of their games when it comes to like their games as a service, they haven't really dropped the ball on that. Sea of Thieves, consistent content, grounded, consistent content. That's why I think when State of Decay finally does come out, they're going and if it's still a thing, it's going to get consistent content, and it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be probably taking note of because the track record with Microsoft in the development of those games have been really good. So the fact that Double Fine is putting assets and thought and quality into this new IP and making it into a games of the service with a multiplayer twist is very interesting. It's not something they've done before, and I'm here for it. I'm not saying it's something I'm interested in playing, but I see what they're going for, and a lot of people are probably going to be miffed by this decision, but I also think that every studio should have the option to make the game they want to make, especially if they come out with games that actually do speak to people. Like Psychonauts was the last game that came out, which was really, really good and got Game of the Year considerations and stuff like that. So I can see, this studio doing really, really well with it, and with Microsoft's ability to like really, really make sure that content flows for a game like this, it could actually be better than we actually think it is at this moment. But it's not something I'm really into, but I can see what they're trying to do, and it's interesting at the least.
Yeah, it's not for me. Like I,
While you're
and I
talking about
I hope it's
my
successful.
PC,
Huh?
that I just walked. I said while you're talking about to switch back to my PC, I'm walking in the house.
Yeah. Look, I recognize the vision of it, and I appreciate Double Fine's variety and different creative methods of giving you different kind of games that you've never seen before. But what comes with that level of creativity and what comes with that level of variety is that you're going to get less people really interested in a lot of your different titles, and also probably less people crossing over from previous titles to play your new one because your new one is so different than what the previous game was. And so that's not saying that this killing clean Klein, whatever the name of this game is, this pottery multiplayer game. I'm not saying this game is DOA or anything like that. But it's just not for me. And it's so different and unique. I can't really tell if it's going to find an audience or not. But to finish up on something I was saying before Forte jumped back in, Microsoft is doing these kind of small experiences. I think it doubles as good filler content in Game Pass, but also it's what they told these developers they would do for them when they acquired them. Now, how long they're going to continue to greenlight games like this, I have no idea. I know there are things out there about them leaning more into their bigger, more established IP and less so newer experiences, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. It could be just one single publisher that's dealing with that, whereas another publisher under them is not dealing with that. But again, we'll have to see. The last one here, the last game here, is probably the one that we're going to end up discussing the most, honestly. Fable. Finally seen an extensive look at Fable that was, I think, probably in development since 2018 when they were, 2018 since, they were acquired Playground Games was acquired by Microsoft in 2018. It's been in development since then. They showed it at initially in 2020. So 68 years later, not 68, 6 to 8 years later.
68, good God, bro. How old are you?
It feels like 68 years, Forte. Anyway, 6 to 8 years later, we now have seen Fable.
7.
And it's going to be launching on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 5 this fall, all at once. Console warriors are either skipping through the forest or they're crying into their pillows. Before we get into any further into this, Forte, do you think this release window is solid? You think it's going to stay here, or do you think it's going to get delayed?
Which game?
Fable.
Or just any of them?
Fable.
Oh, that thing's getting delayed, bro.
You think so?
That game ain't making it. I mean,
out of this year completely.
See, they said autumn. That's the fall. So that's like August, September. Like October at the absolute latest.
Yeah.
If that game's not coming out in September, but I also think you can't be afraid of the boogeyman called Grand Theft Auto because all these rumors with them saying they're delaying the game. Because you could delay your game out of this date and then fall right up against it early next year and it'd be even worse. So I think the game, I just feel like at this point it should have an actual solid release date. I feel like every game where they give you a window, it feels like the game is just asking to be delayed. They just don't want to tell you what it's going to be delayed to.
Mm-hmm.
It also might be a strategy, whereas this is the thing. They know Grand Theft Auto, and I'm not saying it's just all Grand Theft Auto. I mean, that's what it kind of comes off as. Because I do think it's a lot of strategic stuff moving on in the background here. Because they don't want to go up against that game, because that would just decimate pretty much any game in that window. So part of me feels like giving it a window is more of a symptom of we don't know when this other big game is coming out. So we can like speak to this window probably closer to like June and confirm it completely. Because I think Grand Theft Auto, if they are going to like delay, it's going to probably be before that, or they'll announce it before that. But if they don't announce anything and it's still kind of like quiet, then it's a good chance that it's just going to stay at the window that it's in right now. But if they delay, then you're basically locked into it. So are we talking about just the overall game, like the stuff we saw with the game, or are you just talking about? Okay, so we haven't gotten to that part yet. I will just say, based on what I saw, and I did go back and look at more, and we're going to talk about that more. I think it doesn't need to be delayed, but it really just comes down to like, what are you trying to get from this game? Because I feel like development wise, we talked about this earlier. You need this game to perform. You need it to be something that a lot of people latch onto. You need it to be something that people enjoy. You need the conversation around this game to be more than just the typical another good game by Xbox. You need this to be more of like, this is a great game. This is why
it needs to be a game of the year.
It has contender. To be because Fable, it's not like Fable is a new name. It's an old name, but it's an old name that has to prove itself again, because it's been like 2010 since the last Fable. It's like Fable 3. Forget what date it was, but it's been a whole generation, because that was on 360 a whole 2 generations ago. So I think it has to prove itself. A lot of people are going to think that's crazy, but this is a completely different Microsoft. And with the cost-cutting measures that they have implemented and stuff like that, when it comes to like just their development timelines and everything like that, this game has to like come out the gate smoking, and it has to come out with that that level of procurement where everybody's talking about it in that same breath as a game like Expedition 33? Does it have to be as loud as something like that? No. Does it have to sweep the awards or something like that? No, but it needs to be in the consideration, like how Donkey Kong actually made. Like Donkey Kong made it into the Game of the Year conversation, y'all. Can Fable make it there? Can it at least be up there in lights where a lot of people are like saying, you know, we knew Donkey Kong wasn't going to win, but could it be in that conversation? And I think that's good enough.
Pause that thought for a moment, because we're gonna get back to that. We're gonna get back to
go
that.
ahead.
I want to kind of get into more of the other things that they showed about the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
So something that was a bit of contention from incels who've never touched a woman, as as just regular old Fable fans, was this girl that they featured in all the trailers. Was she like a customizable character, or was this the default of that character, or was this is the all you get? You know, it's just her, and you play as her. Well, they showed here that your character will be fully customizable, whether you want to make them male or female, with supposedly a great degree of detail. Something that I did notice is that, and I saw other people point this out, that the male version of the character seems to have the same walk animation that the female character has. So
she out here switching.
Yeah. So this is this is early days, you know, the game's not out yet. So they could clearly, maybe it was a mistake, or maybe it was intentional. Maybe that's how they felt. You know, hey, look, you could have a dude, he walk like, you know, like a woman. It's just, however you want to do it, it's fine. But that's something that
looks
people,
like Tarzan, walks like Jane.
Yeah. So if that is a mistake, people were kind of hoping that gets rectified or whatever. What are your thoughts on that in particular? And do you think this, even though I don't think they did this to satisfy the dumb crowd that was all oh, she's ugly, blah, 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 you know, but previous Fable games allowed you to either be a boy or a girl starting out. And there was some thought that that wouldn't be the case with this one. What are your thoughts on that?
No, and no one really knew, and to me, I guess, because I never cared for it to be one way or another. A lot of people that watch me play games and stuff knows that I prefer male protagonists, but when I play shooters, I prefer female protagonists, mostly due to just my thought process that the female body is a smaller hitbox, even knowing that is not true. Developers have come out and said that's not true, but whatever makes you play better is what you do. And so whenever I play a game like Battlefield, predominantly I always play with the female characters in the game. When I play Call of Duty with SloMo, I think, matter of fact, SloMo knows it all the time, I'm always playing with a female character in Call of Duty, unless it's like a super crazy skin like how Kong was, and I'm just running around as King Kong, and that was freaking awesome. Or Donatello as a Ninja Turtle. You know, that's kind of the only way I kind of break away from those things. But I like the fact that they're doing it. I don't think, like you said, they did this to appease the incel crowd. I just think it was more of I think honestly they probably thought it was funny, because this has been a thing probably since the beginning. And when they were making the game, they was like, they said these people are stupid. I guarantee you that's what they're saying. People are so stupid, and they just wanted to make it an announcement that, you know, you can have different genders in the game, because a lot of people, you know, rightfully thought that it should have it, because all of the Fables had it before. It had custom creator and everything. You can make your character how you wanted to. So it just seemed weird if they weren't able to do that. But I'm also not into the business of telling people that this is how a game should be when they're the ones that's making it. Plus, let's be for real, female protagonist is, you know, a lot of people know that women characters are more they bring more eyes to a lot of different things. So it's like when you have a female character on the screen, people pay more attention for good or bad. They may say she's ugly. Some people would say she looks nice. And then they'll make her look better because she doesn't look like the actress. So it's like a whole complete different conversation outside of the game itself. And then people are talking about it. If it was just a dude on the screen, nobody's talking about the game in that way or having conversations. So part of the marketing is the buzz and the conversation around the game after you show it off. Good or bad, good publicity, bad publicity. They had a female up there and people were complaining about it, had people talking about Fable. Now that the game is flushly getting ready to come, firmly about to come out sooner or later, within the next calendar year, we should say, now they can tell you these are all the things that we're planning on doing with the game. And guess what? Without saying that you guys are stupid, not this chat, because this chat's awesome, but not to say that, the internet is stupid, you can also play as a male in this game if you want to. And now everybody is like, oh, okay, cool. And that just kind of silences the crowd a little bit. But I like it in general, but that was stupid to begin with from the beginning. But people, once they gave a mic to a person and said, go on Twitter in a space or go on YouTube and make a video about it and voice your opinion, people's intellectual, just dropped to the floor when that happened. So
yeah. Yeah, I largely agree. It's not. I kind of feel like they always intended on that being the case, but they kind of wanted to. I think they probably should have. When you had two different trailers and you showed the same character, maybe that's the default, woman character, and there's a default man character. But you showed the same character in both. You could have just, for the second trailer, just had it be a dude.
Guess what? FemShep
alleviated.
FemShep.
A lot of people
literally
like FemShep.
All of Mass Effect, you only saw male Shepard until the game came out. Then they started showing FemShep. So same thing.
You have that level of customization. Like it's I think they could have avoided the controversy if they just would have showed both. But again, people are stupid. What else here? Your choices in the world. So this is a bit of like definitely something that you don't see in your typical RPG. Your choices in the world will actually change the landscape, which I think is a pretty dope idea. Something I'm looking forward to. Your choices will definitely affect the way the world is and how they react around you. So we saw in the direct where if you have a good public standing or you're very popular, you could be walking down the street and just random NPCs would be like, "Oh, you're amazing, you're awesome," like that kind of stuff. Like they'll be fans of you. If you've been making some decisions that aren't very popular to people, you're gonna get the opposite. They're gonna be calling, they're gonna be cursing you out and calling you, slinging insults at you as you walk past, that kind of thing. But they spoke specifically about that giant that's in the first trailer, the first real trailer, not the teaser, but the giant in that trailer. You see like the character, the hero, fighting this giant, and they said that if you decide to kill the giant will fall close to one of the towns, and this giant will always be there, and that will affect, like his corpse will always be there, and that will affect the way the town people feel about you. Maybe that changes the environment. Maybe him decomposing, for yay or nay, affects the way crops grow or animals. Maybe more aggressive animals show up now trying to feed off the corpse or whatever. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll have to see. But I think that's pretty dope.
That is pretty dope.
Outside of that being dope, do you have any thoughts on that? But I can move on to the next one.
No, the explanation, like, okay, all of the things that they said in the game that they are working towards for you to be able to do are all great. So I really don't have anything that to really add that I wish that was different. So yeah, that's you're pretty much spot on that, because you know it was other things, but go ahead.
Okay, cool. You can buy multiple homes. You can start multiple families. You can end multiple families.
My lineage ends here.
Right. The NPCs have, and then also, so this is going to be something that like is a positive and a negative. So like starting multiple families and having children and stuff is something you could do in previous Fable games. I don't think you could do it I can't remember if you could do it to the degree that you can do it in this game, or you could literally be a landlord and be evicting people and stuff like that. In this one, which I don't think was possible in the previous game. But the amount of detail in this, I think it may have gone a little too far. When you have NPCs and they said, "Oh, you could just follow one of the NPCs around all day long and watch them just go about their day," and I'm just like, "Yeah, but is that necessary?" When you look at this game and you look at this frame rate in that trip, it was not great. That frame rate was not good.
Oh no, it was pretty hideous.
Could it be a technical issue they haven't quite figured out as they're still trying to polish and optimize the game? Sure. But when they talked about how detailed the scripting is for the NPCs, I said, okay, this is the same issue that Dragon's Dogma 2 dealt with. Dragon's Dogma 2 in the cities have very detailed scripting for NPC behaviors while you're in the city, and it was very authentic looking. And then, you know, if an ogre or a giant or whatever attacked the city, you would see all kinds of people like fly into action. That's like one of the better parts of the game when you see it. You see a town, you it's not just you fighting it by yourself. The literally townspeople, the people in town who can fight, the guards, everyone's fighting this thing off. It's great. But that said, for a lot of people, the frame rate, and it doesn't even matter if you were on PC or not, in the city was abysmal. It was unacceptable. Right. And you could say, oh, well, you know, that's just the RE engine. You don't know that for certain. No one knows that for certain.
Nope.
What we've seen is that there are 0 games right now that are attempting to do what Playground's trying to do with Fable and what Dragon's Dogma 2 attempted to do, where the CPUs that we have, the modern CPUs that we have in the hardware right now are capable of handling all those threads. They're just like not. It's just, and it's not as simple as, oh, you know, we got these multi-core CPUs with multiple threads. Just use all of them. Be more efficient. Plenty of games have attempted to do that, and they don't do it well. The CPUs today just are not good enough. When Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, it didn't matter if you had a 5090 GPU, you were struggling to get 60 FPS in them cities. And it's not, and what PC players have figured out, it's these daggone NPCs, man. So then what they started doing, Forte? They just started killing the NPCs in the game.
Yep, pretty much.
Because they in Dragon's Dogma 2, when you kill someone, they stay down permanently until you revive them or whatever. And so no scripting going on when that person's just laying dead in the street. And now they saw that the frame rate started to get better because the CPU was no longer being hammered with all these instructions for all these different completely pointless and unnecessary NPCs. I suspect this will be the same case with Fable here. Hopefully, maybe it won't be as many NPCs in the cities. So therefore, maybe it won't be as bad. But I'm fully expecting, with that being the case, and how unserious Xbox leadership has been with making sure that games have 60 FPS at launch, maybe simply because this is at launch is coming to PlayStation 5, it'll have a performance mode, but I don't think that's a guarantee. I think this game just might be 30 frames per second. What are your thoughts about that, man?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like at a certain point, what you tell me, what you're not telling me is kind of where I kind of land. And I feel like in general, that's the unfortunate thing. Now, the question is, yeah, we're talking about console. Play on PC, you have the way that you want it to have. So no, I agree with that. I do think in general, it just seems like they don't want to tell the people exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be, I mean, because it's going to be a demanding game no matter what.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It looks great.
The scale, like
that visual fidelity is not going to be easy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing that really makes me feel like I'm leaning where you are with the 30 frames, and not to say that they can't break that, but that scale, once they showed the scale of that game, I'm like, bro, this game is huge. Just the environments and everything, and
it's a completely open world that you could just jump into as soon as when no loading.
Right.
So, like that is a lot. You know, it's I wonder if this is going to be something that they're going to have to later on as subsequent patches come out and updates. They're trying to optimize, find the right level of NPCs, scripting and whatnot to make it like acceptable. But I guess we'll have to see. Let's talk about this combat for a bit.
Let's do it.
Try to find the part where the combat is shown. Here we go. I see a lot of people either really extremely disliking the combat or extremely liking the combat. I think the combat is very reminiscent of the combat from previous Fable games, and I'm fine with that. The camera angle, the camera direction, I'm fine with that. I wasn't expecting like DMC here or something. Like I wasn't expecting your hero to be like doing air combos and stuff like that. Like that's not kind of combat this game has always had. That said, if with the frame rate issues, I wonder if the combat may not be as smooth as we were hoping. Because again, we have to think about this is Playground, who everyone gives them their props as they are an elite developer, but they haven't done this kind of stuff before,
right?
So it wouldn't be shocking if like motion capture isn't that great. We see we talked about the walking animation. Like you would think maybe somebody who was more experienced with third person perspective animations and combat wouldn't have these kind of issues or make these kind of mistakes. I also wonder if it's just may have been like some poor choices with like the weapons being used. I kind of feel like like I like the fact that there's a parry system in it that you can parry, and the dodge looks pretty good, but it's you have to see when you get your hands on it and playing it if it's really solid or not. Like is it one of those cases where I need to parry like a millisecond before I really should be parrying to make sure the parry hits because there's a latency issue? Do I need to do that with dodging? Are there very few weapons? Is it like, because in the previous Fable games you could use magic if you want. You could be a long range archer kind of character. You could have your melee weapons, your swords and your knives, and be up close. But like, is it going to be like the definitive way to play the game? People will be like, "Hey, look, you just asking for a rough time if you ain't playing it this way." Or it's just not even worth it to even dedicate time to magic because it barely does anything. That kind of thing. Like I'm interested in how that plays out. But for me, the combat looked like what I expected it to look like and what I wanted it to look like, as far as what your hero's doing and how your hero is fighting enemies. I could probably, and maybe they just only had a few in there because they're just showing off the game, but I could use a bit more enemies and fighting me than just one or two at a time. Like that would be boring if that was the case. But other than that, I'm fine with it. What are your thoughts on it?
Combat has always been a thing that's been really, really clunky inside of Fable. I can see why people look at it and say, like, what the heck is this? And even me, to an extent, I look at that as like, dang, y'all couldn't do a little bit better. And I was listening to IOP, shout out to Addict, because this is one of Addict's most anticipated games ever. And he said he doesn't have a problem with it. And, to be frank, I'm just going to say it like this. Just because it's always been like this doesn't mean it needs to stay like this. I just
feel, you want improvement. You want it to be
I just want to see
like
I'm not saying they didn't improve, because that's the thing. We saw the game in a stream. A lot of people didn't go back and look at the actual 4K render video of it because the frame rate and stuff like that, which we're probably going to talk about, got a little bit better after that. But the biggest thing is I just feel like it could be a little bit better. It goes back to like what I said about Hellblade, the difference between Hellblade 1 and 2. It feels like they addressed the combat in Hellblade 2. It's just that I feel like they didn't go far enough with the combat. Like, they made it better, but
they also took away the ability to fight more than one enemy,
more than one person. So it kind of
And,
so
the combat also wasn't deeper in Hellblade 2 at all. It wasn't like it really is the same kind of very basic system that you got, very shallow system that you got in Hellblade 1, which there's kind of talk that like there the rumors out there that they after they canceled Project Mara, that they're working on Hellblade 3 and they're talking about making the combat more in depth. And it's just like, if you were listening to the fans, you would have did that for 2 instead of 3. So it's just like, whatever. Like, I know we got on a tangent, but look, I agree. That's just because this is how the combat has always looked doesn't mean that you just kind of rest on your laurels there. I'm just saying that, like, as far as the structure of the combat looks the same as the previous Fable games, and I did enjoy that. But of course, that was on the Xbox 360. I haven't played Fable in a long time, so maybe if I play Fable 2 now, I'll be like, this ain't good.
I don't know, man. But, I don't know about this combat.
Right. But I mean, for what I saw from it, and look, you're fighting. Sure, you're fighting Balverines, which are I'm about to say Wolverine, but like werewolves. You're fighting, all kinds of different enemy types. They're gonna have their different enemy AI for you to go through. But like, earlier tonight, Ramon Terrell was in the chat.
Shout out to Ramon Terrell.
He was talking about Eternal Strands, and he said it got better as he got on. I played Eternal Strands, did not like it. I probably play a good like 3 or 4 hours before I quit. Part of the reason why I quit was the combat I thought was really basic and annoyed me. He says that gets better over time.
Okay.
As you get better in the game. Not better, but like further into the game. My fear with this is that because something like what I ended up quitting Eternal Strands, there was the boss fight that took forever. I was fighting this huge boss that had like all this armor on it. It's like early in the game.
Right.
It took forever for me to kill this thing. And I'm like, I don't know what they were thinking when they made this game, but like the balancing of like having this boss with its HP pool and what was needed to defeat the boss and my current weapons at that time. And I did a lot of exploring before I ended up fighting this boss to try to make sure I had like, wasn't missing anything, that I had like the best gear, the best weapons on and whatnot. And it just took forever. And I just like, as soon as I beat this boss fight, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not playing this no more. To see that there's a giant that you could either choose to kill or not kill in this, I'm like, you got some boss fights that are going to be a little unique. Right. It's not going to be the same kind of fare that you get where you're fighting a Balverine. And so therefore, you're going to need to have like either a great boss fight design or some really good dynamic gameplay that where you can kind of like adjust what you do to get into that to really beat that giant. And I kind of it seems like, I'm not trying to say it's above Playground's ability, but for a developer where this is their first time in this foray,
right,
that might be too tall of a task to accomplish. If you think about Guerrilla Games going from Killzone, a first-person shooter, three kill zones, by the way, into Forza. I said Forza, sorry. Horizon Zero Dawn. You know, one of the criticisms of Horizon Zero Dawn was that the melee combat wasn't that great.
Right.
But that's to be expected for a developer who had never made a game that was third person perspective before, where you're looking at your character the whole time.
Right.
That's a whole huge open world, but they nailed the open world. It was beautiful to look at. You know, like the faces were a bit dead, which again, you know, when you're not used to having narrative trees and whole conversations where people are staring at the face, you know, and you're not used to having to make sure that looks natural and that the characters look real, like real human beings, then, you know, it takes time. You know, in Horizon 2 and Forbidden West, they fix those issues. The people look natural. The conversations flow naturally. It takes time to do that. I just kind of wonder, and this is where I'm gonna get to the point where I want your opinion on this, because I don't think Xbox is really in the mode of giving games that don't meet expectations second chances. Like, I feel like if State of Decay 3 came out, and I'm not saying this is the case, and I'm hoping it's not the case, but if it doesn't live up to expectations, you're not getting a State of Decay 4. You might not even have Undead Labs anymore.
Right.
And I'm not saying Playground will get shut down, because they got Forza Horizon, and you know this game's success isn't going to live, or like their studio success isn't going to live or die on this game, but this IP success might live or die in this game. Because we haven't had a Fable game in like 16 years. So you first time back and you don't meet expectations, and it's partially due to the fact that you're inexperienced in making this kind of game. You're making an action RPG, and you've been a racing studio for your entire existence. You know, I will hope for a little grace.
Right.
From Xbox. But I don't think they'll get that. What are your thoughts about that?
No, the thing is, they're not going to get that. But I think in general, it comes back to what the pressure is of what the game needs to be. You know, this was the number one thing we talked about when we heard that Playground was making the game. Like, you know, would they be able to live up to what Fable is? Like, it seems like, just looking at the gameplay trailers, looking at the Vidocs they put out, looking at the video they put out today on the Direct, that they are really, really focusing in and nailing what the essence of Fable is. And some people would say that's perfectly fine, but Fable, what it used to be or what it is right now to this day, is still a game from 2010. You know, what are we doing to bring that game over to, you know, this generation of gamers? You know, because yes, the ones that are going to be buying this game for the most part are me, you, people around our age that remember what Fable 1, 2, and 3 anniversary and stuff like that was like. But who's going to be buying this game in the future? Like, you're not making this game now. You're not bringing this franchise back now for us. You're bringing this franchise back now for the nostalgic of what the game is for us now. But then you're bringing it back to like usher in and bring in more people into the Fable universe. So your next game and the game after that and whatever spinoff you decide to do after that will be able to, you know, cultivate an environment or even a player base that adores the game just like we did when we were younger, culminating itself probably into some type of massive MMO type thing where I think Fable would be perfectly fit in based on how big the world is. Everybody would create it, generated characters and everything, the stories and stuff that you could tell, all of the different systems and stuff that could be in place. That's like I said, we don't have any inside knowledge to this, but that ultimately, it seems like the end game for what Fable could be. You know, this ever living game, once they get to that point and they get enough support around it, that they could just rinse and repeat and just do consistent updates on the game like they do with Sea of Thieves. Like Sea of Thieves was a game that they developed as a game and just turned into this a la carte resource that all they have to do is just keep spinning the wheel and consistently putting content out for it. And you see where it is now. It's a very, very successful game on its own. And Fable has that opportunity, but I just want them to like do something to make it more modern to today, because I feel a lot of people look at this game and they say, did they do enough? And I find myself saying, did they do enough? But that's also me saying, because I haven't seen the game up close and played it myself, because the moment I play it, I might have a completely different, you know, attitude towards the game. But it's still a game that's on my radar, and I definitely am going to play it when it comes out day one. But, you know, there is a lot of criticism. Day one for me too. There's a lot of criticism out there just based on who's making the game and the type of games they made in the past. So they can literally blow the company up and become the best thing. A lot of people consider them Xbox's, like, if not their top studio, at least in their top 2, top 3. You might put Obsidian up there. You might put Ninja there. I would say Obsidian is probably the highest on the tier. But Playground ain't far behind. They fighting for number 1. And if they knock Fable out of the park and do what they're supposed to do with it, then they will be considered one of the best, because they went and did a genre of game that they've never had experience in doing before by bringing people that had the expertise, had the engine in place, doing all these things to basically bring a living, breathing Albion back to life. And then I can see it taking off from there. But, you know, we'll find out hopefully at the end of this year what's in store for us when it comes to like just that direction. But there's a lot on the line for them to knock it out the park to do it, though.
Yeah. All right. So to finish up, overall, what did you think about the direct? Developer direct.
So after going back in, you know, because at first I called SloMo. I said, SloMo, what did you think of this show? He said, oh, I liked it. I was like, And he's like, oh, Lord. And it was mostly due to the fact that I didn't like the performance that was shown in Fable. I didn't like the frame rate dipping. I didn't like the combat and everything. And SloMo made a good point, because I watched the stream. He said some people are saying the stream was a stream that was a little laggy, and that was kind of throwing off the game. And before I say what I did at the end is, companies have to they have to have the understanding, like, bro, if you can't put on a stream that runs stable when you're showing people a game that they're going to be playing that requires stable frame rates, and you know how sensitive people are to stuff like that, you got to do better with that. You know, I'd rather you just upload a video. You know, I understand like having a live chat and everything so you can see the engagement and people talking. But guess what? Half the time when those videos go up and that chat happens, y'all don't go back and look at that stuff no more. Ain't nobody even looking at that stuff anymore. So at a certain point, I feel like y'all just need to upload a video, and, you know, you upload the video and just let it be. Do it as a premiere instead of as a live stream. At least as a premiere, it's an uploaded video. You can still have the chat that people are interacting with as the time that is streaming, or playing, I should say, because it's not a stream. But that's a whole nother tangent for another day. I hope they implement something like that instead of these streams, because that kind of does I ain't gonna say water down the experience, but it leaves a lot of guessing to like, is it this? Is it that? But after watching the actual 4K stream, I was highly impressed with just the visuals of the game in general. The frame rate wasn't as bad. It still has some work to do, but I'll give them a 60. Little. Yeah, it should be 60.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it should be 60. But then again, I'm playing on PC, so I ain't gonna have that problem. So I kind of
we hope. We hope.
Oh, listen, man. Look,
what's your CPU?
I will boycott this game if they lock it to 60 frame, 30 frames per second.
Oh no! They wouldn't lock it.
Oh, you're talking about just
CPU,
because bottleneck.
Yeah, if your CPU is a bottleneck, it don't matter.
Oh, it don't matter what you do. Yeah.
How much RAM you got? You basically a little.
Well, that's worse. In my opinion, that's worse, because then that's not just the frame rate being bad. That's just a bad optimized port to PC, which is probably worse than having bad frame rate. Because at that point, you can't even. At that point, you're disrespecting the hardware I have that allows me to be able to do things I want to do. But that's a whole nother tangent. But after watching the stream, I think it was a lot better than I saw during the thing. I don't think it was that much better, but it did look better. It did run better. The frame rate was still an issue, but I will give it a solid B+. I can't go to A. I did like the show a lot. It was shorter than I thought it was going to be.
It was almost an hour. You thought it was going to be longer than that?
Well, I thought they were going to have extra things that and it's mostly my fault, because I was just thinking like, are they going to show one more thing? And the show kind of ended at the Fable. They did the sizzle reel and that was it. And I was, I kind of, from Microsoft, always look for that next thing that they're going to show, like they did with, where they show like a demo and it's going to be, it's coming out today and something like that. So I'm not expecting it. It's just, I'm kind of used to that from Microsoft at this point. But I give it a B+, solid B+. The game that I was I'm looking forward to the Moses Beast of the Reincarnation. That game looks phenomenal. And definitely can't believe that there is a studio that makes Pokemon that actually made a game that looks good. And it's not Pokemon. Which is weird to me, but okay. What about you, SloMo?
I mean, for me, if I had to put a number on it, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It was solid. It didn't blow me away. Fable was what I wanted it to be. Like, as far as like it kind of nailing the feel of Albion, the feel of that world, touching on the things that people who are fans of Fable like myself actually wanted. So I'm cool with that. Right. It's not doing more than that though, and maybe maybe I have a bit of lowered expectations considering Fable 3 wasn't that great, and then Fable Legends got canceled. So maybe I'm just wanting a solid Fable experience to kind of just like, let's get us back to an acceptable addition to this franchise, and then worry about growing from there. Maybe that would be acceptable, but I hope they got some things to clean up. A lot of people have looked through the footage multiple times. There are a lot of different things that people want to see changed, and they got the time to do that. Autumn is coming. Now winter, autumn is coming, right? It is. And we got a good 6 months before we get to the edge of that, right? So this is typically the time period where they are trying to optimize the game. They are trying to clean up those things. So hopefully this is like where that gets done. If this was like the game, they were showing the latest build of the game right after it went gold and the frame rate was like it was, I would be highly concerned. I'm still somewhat concerned because I think based upon what they showed about the game design, that is lending towards the performance issues. But I will, allow them the ability to figure that out before the game launches. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Forza look like Forza. I'm day one on that. Beast of Reincarnation, I'm a bit more intrigued by that than I was before. And the Klingon whatever it's called, pottery, brawler, multiplayer game, I'm a pass. It's not for me. But it was a surprise game, so whatever. So yeah, 8 out of 10 is solid.
Nice.
Forte,
yo,
what can people expect from you over the next week, and what you got going on? All that good stuff?
Well, guess what? We're getting back to streams, y'all. We're gonna get back to some Death Stranding now that the holidays is over. I don't have to worry about a second store. I can actually come home and play games again. It don't feel like I'm about to explode between my ears. It's gonna be great. We're gonna do that again. Also, I've been messing around with making videos again. I actually went in yesterday and made a new intro screen for the channel, and came up with another thumbnail design for the channel because I want to start making videos again, because now that everything's kind of slowed down a little bit and just paid attention to what's been going on inside the community, like kind of got more interested in doing it again. And plus it's just a lot of stuff that's been happening. So, and I had opinions for it. So I just like, instead of, hoping to be on this podcast or just waiting once a week to talk about it on here, just gives me another reason to like make more videos on my channel. Cause it's just, shout out to the 4,000 people on that channel. I know it's not 4,000 people that still watch it, but even if half of the people come and still check it out, it's always great, and I appreciate it. I know a lot of people in here watch the videos when I posted them. So we're going to get back to that. I'm putting out a channel update video by the end of this week. Well, not the end of this week, by the end of this weekend, going over some of the ideas. And I definitely want to make it a community driven thing, like what we're going to be doing and stuff like that, but also going to get back to making videos for the DPS channel, because, we saw a lot of growth when we were putting extra content up on it. And now that I have the time to actually like dedicate to actually like giving some thought opinions out there, I want to definitely do that too. But that's kind of my goal for like the next week. And, I want to at least get one of those things accomplished by the podcast next week. But, two of them, because I'm definitely doing a stream sometime next week. After this weekend, I'll know exactly what day. It most likely will be either a Tuesday or Wednesday, because those are the days I'm off. But so I definitely want to at least
to make you a thumbnail, huh?
Yep, I definitely, because I know you want to use. I know you got Chat GPT on the high alert.
Oh, I got even better tools available now.
Oh Lord, I can't with this. I can't wait. But I appreciate you guys, and we gonna definitely get back to everything that we were doing before. But what about you, SloMo? What you got going on, and where can these wonderful people find out what you're doing and what you got going on?
Yeah, I might stream playing something. I'm not quite sure what yet. I've been playing. I mean, maybe it'll be Call of Duty or the finals. Like just. Because that's really all I've been really playing. Or maybe I will stream Dispatch with actually I already streamed Dispatch, so I won't do that again. I streamed the whole thing, but maybe Final Fantasy VII Remake, or actually I've done that before too on this channel. Mm-hmm. Like there's playthroughs of those there, so it'll have to be something different. But I got a lot of stuff in the backlog to deal with, so. I'll bring Lunchtime with SloMo out of the mothballs. We'll see.
Oh,
haven't done one of those in a very long time. But I think it really is just depends on how the weather is this weekend. We're supposed to be getting hit with the snow Saturday evening.
We're negative so 3 degrees tomorrow. Feels like negative 26. They already canceled school here.
Good.
Yeah, they already canceled school here.
Yeah, they haven't canceled school here yet, but they probably will end up doing that for Monday and likely Tuesday as well, just to be safe.
Kids don't need to be out.
Which I agree with. Yeah, but Sunday's supposed to get nasty with all the snow, so we'll see how it plays out. But again, that's just a few days. That's not all the way to Thursday. So hopefully, if I get the time, I'll jump in there. So Hope you guys enjoyed the night, the stream that is. And we will be back next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 259. And we out, man. Peace.
Peace. Dun dun today.